Veer Darbar says, what's your view about the Malaysian airplane MH370, the plane that disappeared in 2014? Swapnil says, the Malaysian Airlines flight MH370 mysteriously disappeared while traveling from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing in March 2014. What causes a flight to vanish from the air surveillance radars, and what likely caused led to this flight going missing with no recovery of the fuselage and the black box? Interesting question. So what happened? So we had this flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, which was supposed to go to Beijing, and it disappeared. So let's take a look at the map and see what where this all happened. So we have Malaysia, we have the capital city Kuala Lumpur over here, as you can see, and the flight took off, I think, late at night. It's called what's called a red eye flight, a late night flight, and it was supposed to go all the way in the north to Beijing. So the plane takes off. It crosses the Malaysian peninsula, and it's over the Gulf of Thailand, I believe, and it kind of crosses out of Indonesian airspace, and then it turned back. We know it turned back. It crossed the Malaysian peninsula all over again. I think it flew over Penang, I believe, or something. Then it went into the Malacca Strait, and somewhere over the Gulf of Thailand, the transponder, which is an instrument of the plane, was switched off. So it fell off the radar. And this happened when it was crossing over from the Malaysian airspace into eventually what would be, I believe, Cambodian or Vietnamese airspace. So at that time, neither of these two nations was looking at the flight, and that's when the thing was switched off. Then it crossed all the way back over Malaysia. It went over the Malacca Strait, and then there's the mystery as to where it went. So there are two arcs that are possible. One takes it southwards into the middle of the Indian Ocean, the deep Indian Ocean, southern Indian Ocean, where obviously there's no place to land, which means it would have crashed there. The other possibility is that there's another arc which takes it all the way into Kazakhstan. So there was this Inmarsat satellite that kept on pinging the airplane, and it was able to get some pings back. So clearly the plane was flying for a few more hours, and that's the possible route it could have taken. But it could not tell whether it went north or south. It was only able to measure the distance. So that's how we have two possible arcs that the plane could have taken. So the question is, what causes a flight to vanish from air surveillance radars? So every commercial plane has something called a transponder, which is a transmitter and responder. Transmission, response. So these commercial radars, which track commercial planes, commercial flights, they send a signal periodically to every aircraft. It's called an interrogation signal. It's like you're asking a question. So the plane picks it up, and the transponder responds with an answer, which sends a different set of data back to the radar, which typically would contain the code of the plane, the squawk code of the plane, and its altitude, and some other data. So that's how the radar in these air traffic control towers, that's how the radar knows where each plane is, and it's able to track each plane. So if you switch off the transponder, which is what happened, then the plane falls off the radar screen. It vanishes from the radar screen. From the radar screen of a commercial air traffic control tower, but it will still appear on the radar screen of your regular radar, which is the military radar. So in a military radar, you don't look at the transponder response or any of those things. You simply send a radio transmission, hits the plane, and the waves reflect back of the skin of the plane, and then it goes back to the radar, and you can see where the aircraft is. So if you have a military grade radar, you can keep on tracking the plane even if it switches off all the transponder and any other instrument. So the thing is that the Malaysians looks like they did not have a good radar system, military radar system. So the plane simply disappeared. So in case it went all the way to Kazakhstan in the north, it would have had to cross Indian airspace. And as we know, India is a nation with wonderful neighbors. So we have a very robust and strong military radar system. So if this happened, then it would have come on Indian radar, Indian military radar, Air Force radar, all that. As far as we know, it did not happen. So it looks like the plane would have gone southwards and made its way all the way into the heart of the southern Indian Ocean. And obviously there is no place to land over there, which means it would have most likely crashed. Now, who did this? Why did this happen? We still don't know. I believe the main suspect is the captain of the plane, Ahmad Zahari Shah or something. That's supposed to be his name. I don't remember the exact name. You can Google it. Another possibility is that maybe the plane was hijacked. So we don't quite know what happened. And obviously, the plane has never been recovered. There have been reports that some parts of a Boeing fuselage were found in Réunion or Mauritius or something, or maybe Seychelles. I'm not sure which place, but it's not really conclusive, definitive evidence that it's come from this particular aircraft itself, the MH370. So it's still a big mystery, maybe the biggest mystery in the history of aviation. We still don't know what happened to the aircraft. Did somebody hijack the aircraft and take it somewhere, or did it simply crash into the Indian Ocean? Or what happened and who did it and why was it done? Nobody knows. There are whispers that some nations would know about what happened, exactly what happened, but obviously there is no evidence that's available in the public domain. So it's a huge mystery. So that's how a flight vanishes from air surveillance radars, by switching off the transponder, but it's still going to be visible as long as it's in the air to military radar, which doesn't look at the transponder data at all. It simply looks at the physical evidence of an aircraft in the air.